Hello everyone, I'm going to be opening up the Challenger decks for the new 2022 standard environment. I've always enjoyed Challenger decks, so I'm sure these are going to be good. I'm also going to be play testing them tonight, so if any of them are really that good, I'll let you know. I do know that the white one has some banned cards. Really, a set of Faceless Haven, which I think is even shown on the back here. But you're allowed to play it in standard if you play the deck as it is in here, which is really just a way to. Uh, at this point, I don't even know if Faceless Haven's even still ban worthy, considering we do have Field of Ruin. I know it is probably like one of those things where it's like, you shouldn't have to just keep playing until you find your Field of Ruin, but um, I feel like Faceless Haven is not as big of a problem. I mean, it is. I guess it also might have been because of the fact that it was a 4/3 that just had haste and vigilance and could just keep attacking every turn. 3 mana is pretty cheap for that effect. Um, but they do have a lot of creature lands in standard, and they're very important for the standard environment, considering blue, black, and like other red, blue kind of control decks are trying to keep the format in check, but it is very difficult with all these creature lands able to finish off everything. So I'm going to start off by opening the blue-black one, or I guess maybe the white one, since I've already been talking about what's getting banned, or what got banned in it. So these products usually always have a good amount of value in them. Even if one of the cards is banned in standard. And Faceless Haven isn't necessarily a bad card, considering the fact that it is still playable in formats like Pioneer, I would say. At least playable. Nice little Thalia divider. Loyal Warhound's an interesting one to get in the sideboard. So we have the main deck here, and then we have the sideboard over here. At least that's what I'm assuming, because that's what it feels like. They've got 15 cards off on their own. I'm pretty sure that's the sideboard. And you have to play this deck exactly as intended, so you can't keep the sideboard cards in the main deck. I'm pretty sure. So, let's see here. Let's squeeze in a little closer. You can focus. There we go. So, Raideen is honestly or Redain. Is honestly a pretty nice card. Snowlands entering tapped and non-creatures costing 2 more. It's pretty much just against the whole format, really. Takedown, not terrible. Another Redain. I guess they're just going to keep going back and forth. So the whole goal is to, first off, you're casting spells pretty early and quick, so 2 of these guys aren't terrible. You just cast your second spell, you put a counter on them. Usher of the Fallen's pretty good. I don't know why it's 4. It was 4 of the 4 ushers, and then 2 more monks. Code Spell Cleric is really good. Flooding the board, able to put a counter if it's the second spell you cast that turn. Once again, when you cast your second spell, you make a 1/1. So there's obviously that kind of theme in the deck. Luminarch Aspirant, which is just a great card and can just start, becoming a problem on its own. Intrepid Adversary, which I actually do love this card. This is probably one of my favorites. Just able to multi-kick it, basically. They should just say multi-kick, but like if this is multi-kicked, put a adversary counter on it for each one or something like that, Thalia's 2 of them, I guess. It's a really good card, especially against control, putting them a whole turn back. Skyclave, good for just removing big stuff. Well, not big stuff, but like smaller stuff, I guess. But like that's pretty big for this deck because they're trying to kill you pretty early. 3 Elite Spellbinders, a really great card. Paladin class would probably be, if I could cut a card, it would be this, because paying the mana and stuff like that for the specific effect isn't that great. Fateful Absence, a good card. The Band, Faceless Haven, as you can see, 3 mana for a 4/3. It's pretty good. I guess technically 4 mana, but doesn't untap or doesn't tap. Obviously, the plains, you need the Snowlands in order to play the Faceless Haven. But that's generally the main deck. We'll check out the sideboard. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean, I actually do like this deck. Probably won't get to playtest it too much because one of my friends already pretty much has it, and they're gonna be playing it. So Loyal Warhound, I guess, in case you go against ramp decks, it's just a good white card. Cathar Commando, also another good white card. Flash 2 or 2 mana 3/1 with an upside basically being, I don't know why they keep ordering it like this. This is really weird. Whatever. Portable Hole, it's a removal if you're gonna want to get a pesky like creature out. Could be a token, could be like a Prosperous Innkeeper if you really need to. It's like your Fatal Push basically. Maul of the Skyclaves, also a good way to give your creatures evasion. Should just be in the main deck instead of the other card. Selfless Samurai. I guess you can get a creature indestructible, so that's actually not too bad. And then if it attacks alone, it gets lifelink. And you get a special version of it as well. Why not? Kind of weird, but then when this enters the battlefield, so Graveyard Hate, this is what a sideboard card would be, but in the meta, I feel like it could be main decked. And then this guy can get creatures back when he attacks, so very worth it. And then you have your tokens here, pretty much, and your flip cards, I guess, if you really want to just put Redain in the side, basically. But that is the mono white one. Mono white one, it's pretty decent. I mean, obviously it has a ban card, but I don't think that's gonna stop it. If you really wanted to take that out and edit the deck, you could probably make it a bit better. But the lands are a pretty big bonus to it. You could always change it to the white one. Rakdos Vampires. It's like a Rakdos Sacrifice deck. I feel like that that might be the better one to go with, I would say. So that's what I would do. But at the same time, Meathook Massacre is like $70 at the time of this recording, and that's insane for a standard card. Duress, obviously, good sideboard card. So I could tell which one's the sideboard because you just don't main deck Duress really, unless you're in like a super heavy meta in one direction. Like if that ends up being like your better Thoughtseize, then go ahead, I guess. So obviously it's gonna be about vampires, blood tokens. Whenever another creature it dies, you make a blood token, and then if you create a blood token, if you have 5 or more, you transform it. I guess I forgot to show Redain's, but it's not really worth showing in the meta, I guess. And then this can turn blood tokens to bats. She looked pretty fun. I actually did want to play her. You choose one that hasn't been chosen to begin combat. Each player sacrifices a creature. You draw a card, lose a life, and you transform. And on the back, she gives creatures with flying, death touch, and/or lifelink +1/+0. So it's pretty cool. More of the blood tokens because they don't like to order things. Some lands. These are really good. Definitely worth it. The pathways, at least $5 each, and I could see them going to $10 after a while. Vampire Epicure, really good in Pauper too, making a blood token and dealing a damage to your opponent. And then this guy, he makes blood tokens, and you can sacrifice him. And a creature gets negative equal to the blood tokens you have. More Epicures. Harvester, again, he just has different art. This is actually a great one because you can attack with this and sacrifice an artifact or creature, put a counter on it, and it gets menace. Obviously, you would be sacrificing the blood tokens. It is a vehicle, though. I have not seen this one. At the beginning of combat, you may pay 1, sacrifice an artifact, and create a 3/1. So actually, this works pretty cool. It's a nice little, maybe not meta play, but it is a. I would probably play it if I was making my own custom deck for this kind of stuff. And then other vampires enter with counters if, and it enters with counters if an opponent lasts life. Oh, Oni Anvil's actually in here. Okay, so they got some spice in here. Not really spice, but I mean this card's just good. It's also played in Pioneer. You just sacrifice an artifact and deal 1 damage to each opponent. You gain a life, and when one or more artifacts leaves during your turn, you create a 1/1 colorless artifact. He gives you card advantage for black-red, which is just exiling if you deal damage that turn. So it's pretty decent. 2 of them, obviously. It's the face card. Basically, this one is just more of a. It's like a miniature. I can't remember what the card is called, but you gain control over your opponent's stuff, and it all has to do with this card because you get to sacrifice. So there's a lot of sacrifice sub-theme. So you can always just take your opponent's creature and then attack with it, and then sacrifice it at the end of combat if you want. Infernal Grasp honestly would run more. And then this is an additional cost. You sacrifice an artifact, you deal 2 damage, and then you may sacrifice an artifact. So you do 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker, and then 4 if it was basically kicked. Village Rites, obviously you would run this since you want to sacrifice creatures. Pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color to spend for a vampire spell, and then you can create a blood token by tapping 5, and it costs 1 less for each vampire. I've never seen that card. Once again, the Den of the Bugbears is a really good anti-control card. Bloodfell Caves, and they do have the nice lands here because these aren't the snow lands. And I would, if I was gonna run it, I would probably run the nice fancy ones because I'm just, I don't know, I'm just like that. Also, they're not that expensive. They're like $1 each at most. The shipping probably is like the part you would be most worried about. So we've got the sideboard. We have Duress, obviously, because if you're going against a control matchup, 1 mana, discard a card from your hand is pretty good. So 3 mana, can't block, deals combat, create a blood token, and then sacrifice it, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Obviously in this deck, it's pretty good. Maybe even worthy of putting it in the main board, especially with how much you're making. More Duresses, Braids are always good. Deal 3 damage to a creature or destroy target artifact for 2 mana at instant speed is good. Callous Blood Mage. I actually just love this card. Being able to draw a card and lose a life for 3 mana and make a 2/1 is pretty good. Making a 1/1 that gains you a life is pretty good if you're like behind. And then exile target player's graveyard. Probably making it worth it, at least being in the sideboard. I don't know what this one's in the sideboard for because you can you would either just play it or not. Whenever something about vampires entering your battlefield, you make a blood token, you sacrifice blood tokens, each opponent loses 2, you gain 2. I mean, this is just a way to take over the game, really. Infernal Grasp in the sideboard, which once again, it's just like, why are you putting this in the sideboard? Tell me why. And then we've got the next one. So we'll go on to the blue-black Dimir Control. So this will probably be the one that I think most people, I don't know, probably are more annoyed to play against. So okay. Let's see what's in here. Mischievous Catgeist. Wow. Let's see. Graveyard Trespasser. The fact that it has Ward discarder cards pretty good and is a great anti like graveyard card. Should honestly be 4 of in this deck. Jawari Disruption, not too big of a fan of the card, but if you want to replace a land for it, it's fine. More Trespassers, probably would add one more. Jawari Disruption. Field of the Dead, which is good against the combo, so obviously this deck would be pretty good against it. March of Wretched Sorrow, I like this card. Pretty fun. It's basically just deal X damage, gain X life, and that's always like one of my favorite things to do. I don't know why I'm putting them in piles, but Power Word Kill is always good. Destroy anything that's not a demon, dragon, or devil, or angel. So a pretty relevant creature types in standard, so it's actually kind of bad. Baleful Mastery. I like it. 4 mana removal. You can pay 2 to let them draw a card. It's a good way if you're just going to finish off the game. You can just do it real quick for 2 mana. Saw It Coming. I like the card just because it's counterspell. You can make it 2 mana. Draw for, you have to discard a basic land though. You can pay 2 mana to deal 3 damage to target human, or you can pay 2 mana to deal 3 damage to target human, you gain 3, or 3 mana, deal 3, gain 3 to any creature. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Obviously we don't have Murderous Rider anymore, and that was probably one of my favorites. Give a creature that aren't of a certain type -3/-3. Doesn't really work too well against creatures that are all types. We have Memory Deluge, 4 of, obviously, because this card's pretty much what makes the deck more than anything, because just the card advantage alone is amazing. Infernal Grasp, which should actually probably be what is in here a little bit more. Limerith Desert Doom is pretty much your main win condition, just dealing damage, has Ward if it's untapped, and then you just try to kill them with that. Blood on the Snow. You're trying to destroy all creatures on the battlefield, and then you can get your creatures back. Hull Breacher Horror. This would be what you would use to just, I guess, flash this in and then start just bouncing your opponent's stuff once you start countering their things. Snowlands, obviously, you're going to do Snowlands in this deck because you want to do Blood on the Snow. Hull of the Storm Giants, another creature land, and a lot of times your win condition. I've had to win with this many times. 1 Evolving Wilds, I guess, and some Shipwreck Marshes, which is definitely one of the better lands in the deck. And then Snow-Covered Stuff, and Evolving Wilds, a fancy one. It's funny they just add that in there. It's like not really like the meta thing. Like you don't need to put that specific Evolving Wilds in. You can't run more if you do that. And they only run 2 Evolving Wilds, which probably makes sense for the deck, honestly. So whenever this deals damage, you draw a card and you can get it back. 3 mana, and then gives a creature that, and then if it be put in the graveyard, you exile it. So it's a cute card. I like it. Let's keep that there. I have Duress, so another card you would be playing against, maybe a mirror match. Siphon Insight's pretty good against just like green stompy or just good decks in general. Like if they don't have a lot of synergy and you just want to put this in the sideboard, I would actually say it's not too bad. Gives you some card advantage since you can flash it back. Duress again, some negates to counter non-creatures, just like Duress, good against itself really. Giving a creature -4, -1, and then if it's white, it gets -4, -4 for 1 mana is really insane. Great against Thalia, because it's just the same mana cost as her. Saw It Coming, another counterspell on the sideboard. Bloodveil Purveyor is pretty decent because the more they start casting, they had to make blood tokens. Late in the game, it's really bad though. So more of a limited card is it can take over, but it's better if you're putting a slow clock on them or a fast clock on them, because they're gonna just easily be able to use the blood tokens, especially in this like flashback environment. Blood Chief's Thirst, I'd probably run more of those in the main deck, in all honesty, and then your tokens. Okay, and then we have one more little fun deck to do. So let's do it. Let us do it. And then here it is, Green green, red. The Stompy deck, which I'm glad they did a Stompy deck. I think they usually do like they have like mono red, some sort of like literal just like control deck with like heavy blue, like a mid-range deck. I guess the red or red black would be the mid-range deck. I don't know if they usually do the big red. I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Probably not. I already seen this one though. My friend opened it. I also did look at the deck list of all these, like in general, but not really like too deep into it. Uvenwald and Oddity. I don't really think this even sees standard play, only because it's a 4-mana 4/4 trample haste. So just your bad questing beast. You can play multiple, but this deck also probably only. I don't know. It does run a couple. Tovolar's Huntmaster, pretty decent. You just make a bunch of werewolves. And on the back also, sorry, it is a it's like a 7/7 what's Grave Titan basically, because it'll attack and make wolves instead. I would take this out. It's just 2 mana, deal 2 damage to any target. It's like a really bad removal spell, and then it's a 4 mana 2/3 with reach that deals 2 damage to any target, so that's not that great. Halana and Elena, partners. Makes sense for this deck. They work pretty well. Another one of those. A Goldspan Dragon, really the money card in this thing. Light Up the Night. It's pretty good. So it's like a good X spell just to kill your opponent. Abrade's in the main deck. That's how much they don't like creatures and artifacts. Snakeskin Veil, pretty much necessary in this deck. More removal, so they're after other creatures. Dealing 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker is pretty good. Sentinel, I don't know if I'd run it, but I guess you are going for big creature spells, and you do have 4 ranger classes. So you make a wolf. The next level puts a counter on an attacking creature, and then the last one lets you cast creatures from the top of your deck. Magda, making treasures. It works pretty well with the Sentinel, because you can tap this immediately and you pretty much get your mana back. And then you also get a treasure. Tracker, like a worse tireless tracker really. You just make a clue token when it enters, and it gets +2/+0 if you control a token. So it's like a 4/3 with vigilance, and then you make a clue. So some card advantage. Rockfall Vale, really good land again. More just of the basic lands. There's not anything special about them other than just that they're like that. The art is nice, obviously. Lair of the Hydra, your creature land, especially with the X being that way. As soon as your opponent taps out, you can just usually hit them for like 7 sometimes late in the game. More red lands, and especially since a lot of the threats you have are haste, so a lot of times like they gotta decide really like if they're gonna use their resources on your turn. They need to remove stuff on your turn. Tovolar, which is a weird sideboard card. I really don't know how they're doing these sideboards. It feels like they're just trying to do 75 card decks and then are like, oh, these are sort of sideboard cards, we'll just put them there. Feels like more of a main deck card than the Abrades. 2 mana, deal 2 damage to target creature. If it's green, 6 damage, which is pretty decent. I do like the Ninja Turtle. He's pretty cool. He's a Turtle Ninja, sorry. Obviously a copyright, right? And then he enters with a Death Touch counter, and you remove a Death Touch counter when he deals damage to destroy an artifact. More of the dealing damage to green creatures. Literally looks like the new Michael Bay Ninja Turtles. Once again, it's like they have 3 of these in the sideboard where it deals 4 damage to target creature. Graveyard Hate, I think these colors are probably going to need these lanterns, honestly, for Graveyard Hate. It's a little annoying. Actually, no, this one's not the same one, but this one you just exile all graveyards, and then you get to draw a card. This doesn't really play with this graveyard too often, so exiling all of them and getting card advantage is pretty decent. Once again, this should probably be in the thing. Frog, or the sideboard, like more of these, instead of in the main deck. Frogmoth should probably honestly be in the main deck. 5 mana, just 4/4 that has trample, haste, and then you you can start exiling stuff and gaining life and putting counters on it. And then we have the tokens. So I mean those are the decks. They're decent. I mean, I don't know. I would say that the green red one looks probably to be the strongest one. I would say. Let's see. Did I miss something in the green red one? I feel like I didn't even get the oh yeah, the little divider thing. So there we go. But that is the challenger decks. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. So have a good one. Let me navigate over here. Okay, but have a good one. Bye.